Wolfie. Feel the music. That was.
I thought you were going to have like a news bulletin.
Well, we have got one. This is general share advice, not personal advice. But Wolfie, we had the Cincinnati weekend on Saturday.
Yep.
All two lovely comments from Gary saying it's the best training course that he's done. So fantastic. And Patrick giving us a lovely comment. So thank you very much, guys. It's really appreciated. And what a fun day it was.
I can't think of why you'd say negative things about us, Dave. I mean,
well, I
can.
Best,
especially me.
I can.
Oh,
all right, but this is just general share advice only. And Wolfie, let's and I think it's quite interesting. We did the Cincinnati, and we'll talk about let's talk about some of the sort of stocks we put on because of Cincinnati, and I'll go for a number of them before we go through maybe today's announcements. We had 3 buy signals, and I think Sol started, to go for it, looking good. Cochlear, pretty good, starting to go through. And Car, which was maybe the weaker one, has started to go through nicely. So those 3 buy signals are certainly like looking on the way. Wolfie, we had on sort of the bullish stories, we've got sort of about 9 that we put sort of, how do you say, recommended or ones preferred, right? The first one was obviously NXL, which was the hot stock, which was also your pick of the week, which I again stole off you, which I do that sort of thing. I have to admit
every week.
Every week. But we had RWC. So again, just the feeling that America is sort of livening up, interest rates going down, and you can see it's actually breaking through. It's starting to look even better. I thought SGF was very good. It obviously had some good reports and really good breakout. And, I think that could be a nice trend up to that sort of 290 level. ACF, again, I think good price action starting to sort of cup up slightly. REH, I thought was looking good. CAT, which, was on last week, is starting to have a move and looking good. RMD, great little risk reward on this play. I think there's a little trade up here, maybe 2 or 3%. SDR, again, just sitting at the top of that candle at the moment, but I think, hopefully this is a recovery, right? And this can go on and have a nice little move up.
Yep.
And BSL, which I know we're not crazy on the story, but I'll tell you what, you got to love the chart. And the chart won the day on this one for me, Wolf. And I think I'll be targeting somewhere around $23. So Einstein's giving some really nice looking stories. And Wolf, you think some of these tech stocks actually should do well. I mean, the NASDAQ was up nearly 2%. You felt when you told me on Saturday, I nearly dropped through the floor.
So did I. I thought, we got a good week coming up, baby. So it's pretty interesting finish on the NASDAQ on Friday. I think there was definitely almost like a relief type buying because the first week of the reporting season, the tech stocks like the Metas, the Microsofts, the Googles was actually pretty good. I know that Microsoft had a little bit of a sell-off, but bounced back pretty strongly at the end of the week, right? Like it normally does. So I think there's just that investor, relief of going, oh yes, okay, we're going to be okay for the rest of the reporting season. So there's a bit of a rally going on there. We saw those incredible strong GDP numbers as well, which initially the market went, wow, no. But when you think about it, yes. Like I said, this is you want to have a good economy, you don't want to have a bad economy. Come on, people, what is wrong with you, right? Plus, Dave, very interesting. Because a lot of people don't read this, but I do, right? So South America, they've gone really pretty hard on their interest rates. They've pushed them up to over 10%. Some of these countries in South America, you know what they're doing at the moment now? They're cutting them, right? So this is the first, I suppose, cabs of the rank where they're cutting the rates because the inflation is dropping enough for them to start going. And I know they're coming off a really high base, because they pushed them so hard. But that was obviously the strategy: go hard, and then you can got that where you can start cutting them. So they started doing Chile.
So Argentina has cut from?
No, that's Chile. Chile cut them from about 11 to about 10.
Okay, and Argentina
1 percentage point.
And Argentina from about 1,000 to 900.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Argentina is a very different basket case, but it's interesting, right? At least you can see we've probably hit that plateau, right, the top, and there is some regions, maybe some countries we're going to start going to cut, and that will follow with other countries as well. But for example, America, Australia, that's going to take a long time. But at least you can see that cliff is done. We're on the other side. It's good. It's good for the market's good for us. This is why you should be looking very, very, very positively towards the next year and so on.
Wolf, I've got the totally opposite view.
That's okay. I don't mind.
I just think this is a dip in inflation. I think it's going to get worse. But anyway, I would rather believe you than believe myself, because you make me feel happy with what you believe.
Oh, well, I make sense. You don't in your head.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're sounding like my wife again. And again, Wolf, we're talking about aliens. So I said to my wife, babe, these aliens, it's like in Congress now, it's real. And I said, it's so exciting. In the future, we're going to travel to new galaxies and new space and new frontiers. And you know what she said to me? She said, darling, all I want to do is go and visit France.
Dave, and you can't even do that for her.
And I can't even do that for her, but I could dream about going into deep space.
Exactly. That's all you've got on your mind.
But France, man, especially with a grandkid, it's financially even France is out of the thing at the moment. Anyway, all right, let's go.
There you go, Dave. You should have just said, darling, 15 years ago we should have stopped. That would have been so much more achievable.
Then we might have had money for France. All right, okay. Well, let's have a look. So anyway, at least the hot stock's looking good. Let's have a look at the stories that put out announcements today. And EOS, hot stock from a few weeks ago. That presentation getting a few people excited, Wolf.
Yeah, the presentation plus the actual flows, the quarterly flows, and when you look at it, another quarterly where it looks pretty decent. So 120 million for 6 months of revenues, Dave. I mean, that's pretty decent, right? So they're still delivering a lot of weapons systems to Ukraine. I think most of it is drone technology where they're just shooting drones out. They've obviously that SpaceLink stuff that we got really scared about is done and dusted in liquidation. They're still, I'm not saying they got rid of completely out of the whole space stuff, because they still got those lasers type stuff and tracking systems of all the space junk. That's still going on the side, which is okay. But the SpaceLink stuff, that was going to cost them billions of dollars, right? So I'm glad that that's gone. So it's a different beast now. You've got that new management that came in at the end of 2022. They've had 7 or 8 months in the job. They seem to be doing a good job recovering the actual business itself. So 158, I'm still probably thinking that's achievable. So on the back of that, it's a high risk trade, no doubt, but it's moving in the right direction, Dave. On that quarterly, you'd go, I'm keeping it for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and it's not too late to buy it. If it looks like this by the end of the week, I'm having a look at the daily. You buy that, it's still a buy.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. ODA.
Yep. Well, okay. For your probably questions, what do you make of that?
Well, I called technically, I said sell it, right? Below 30, get out, right?
Yep.
So,
look, I think there was a false green candle. You get that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
The problem is with this, while it's a decent story, and I had a look at it, over 20 million revenues and so on, I think it's maybe too early for those sort of moves yet. And it's going to be volatile. And when you look at, you think this of why was there a green candle? And then there was an announcement the following week. And it wasn't a ball-tearing announcement. It was an announcement of a contract with about 400,000, right? It just wasn't enough for the investors out there. And I think the investors maybe thought there's going to be something bigger and better coming through. It's still a decent company, still obviously in its growth phase. But, I think that maybe the market got it too excited, over exuberant with 3 weeks ago. So back she comes to the trend lines, and it's probably exactly where you should stay for the moment.
AV1 still struggle street a little bit.
Yep. Just the growth just not quite there for me. So, off a low base should be higher, I think. But it's quarterly difficult to see when you look at it on a yearly basis. But still, you're expecting stronger quarterlies to justify higher share price. It's simple as that.
M7T. Time to take profits.
Definitely. While they're delivering that nice commentary over the last month, right? They've actually big contract wins. prices jumped on the back of that, and more contract wins later on down the track. All looks good, right? So they're putting it all together, contract wins after contract after contract. But the cash flows obviously are lag behind. So, and remember, they are, you know, if they win like a $20 million contract, it's over 7 years. So it's only a small part of it that gets obviously put into their yearly type, quarterly type situation, right? So for me, the cash flows today were okay, but you know, when you look at it overall, it's okay. It's nothing ball-tearing. So I think right now, when you see that quarterly, you go, okay, I'm going to take my profits. I'm going to look way back to drops down at maybe that 80 cents and go again, you know, maybe even a little bit lower. So I think profit taking right now.
All right, Wolf, just looking at the AFR.
Yeah.
It says IGO posts record quarterly earnings and Linus revenues tumbles. And then I look at the price action day and I've got IGO down and Linus up.
Yeah.
So, you know, for mum and dads, explain what's going on there. All perceptions.
All expectations, Dave. Absolutely perceptions, expectations. This is why you got to take everything you read in a greater context, right? Where you've got an announcement coming through, all good and well, but there's other facets to that announcement, such as, you know, what were you expecting to come out of? What was the actual its own company expecting? Did they hit their own expectations? Did it hit our expectations? You know, what's the outlook like? All these things came to point. It's not just a headline of record revenues. You know, that's got probably a very small part to play in the overall movement of the share prices. So in this case, you know, you look at it and you go, Linus, yep, they tumbled for sure. When you look at it, you go, wow, that's ugly. But they've beaten expectations at the end of the day. And there's brighter streets ahead. So for me, maybe that $6 is the lows at the moment, and it's still, you know, a decent story moving forward. So overall, okay, but I wouldn't be touching it, right? You know, it is still a pretty dire quarter, I'd say overall over the last maybe in a year and a half. But it's not as bad as, you know, as maybe the market sort of expected, which is why it's sort of bouncing. Yeah.
Wolf, I had a quick look at broker upgrades, or broker.
Yeah.
And there are a few ones that I thought quite interesting. You got SIQ, which, you know, we had on Einstein's the other week, and it was looking really bullish.
Yep.
I'll tell you why this is interesting. You've got Macquarie with they put a $10 target price on this, which is quite interesting. So maybe if you're in that, you know, there is a bit of resistance there. Watch it carefully. It can break over 9, but in the week maybe you'd hold it.
Yep.
I've got Assen. I've got FCL. You know, a reduction target price, but back down to that sort of 211.
There you go.
And maybe a little bit of hope for people who are still holding ALC. I've got Bell Potter back up here to 15. Wolf.
And that sounds reasonable, right? I mean, I think that's probably where it should be at. The market obviously had one of those moments where it didn't like quarterly 3-6 months ago. They pushed it back down. Now they like the quarterly, they're pushing back up again, back to the 15 cents again. So yeah, it makes sense.
And I just see one of our sort of approved stories to trade, SGF. Interestingly, from Macquarie, it's got a 290 target price, which is, you know, a little bit like where you'd look to trend it.
Yep. Great.
All right, Wolfie, on that note, brilliant work, mate, obviously over the weekend, and some great stories to have a look on Einstein's. Great to see the hot stock becoming hot. If you're in Oz4X, it's still hot. You know, I still think, you know, just be patient with it. It will still go. EOS starting to move. If you're not in it, you can still buy it. And on that note, I'll see you tomorrow, Wolf.
And you knew hot stock is going very, very well. It's pretty hot.
It's hot. It's hot.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, Wolfie. Bye, mate. Bye.